Hey guys, it's Kat for the Wisteria Witches, and today I'm here to talk about urban paganism, and specifically this book, The Urban Primitive. And this is a book by Raven Caldera and Tannen Schwarzstein. It's probably Schwarzstein, but Paganism in the Concrete Jungle. And this book, I think, is worth reading. Let me put it that way. This book is worth reading. However, that being said, I think that this book, there's parts of it that I love and parts of it that I absolutely hate. And I'm going to get to that. I'm going to kind of go through my favorite sections and why, and then kind of some of the things I don't like about it. Overall, why I think it's worth a read is for the simple fact that it gets you thinking about paganism in a modern context. And it's one of the only books that I've ever encountered that really fully embraces the modern world. I mean, it acknowledges that there are issues with the modern world, but there are also plenty of issues in the ancient world. So, I think that it's a really interesting take on it, especially if you live in a city or city adjacent, or, I don't know, use technology or whatever. But, first of all, I'm going to start with the specific things that I really liked about it. There's a section in here, excuse me, called Reliquaries, Ancient Gods in a Modern World, and it talks about sort of what modern day places would you find the gods of the ancient past, and it talks about how, Kuan Yin, who I'm sure we all know is the goddess of mercy and compassion, can be found at like soup kitchens and Goodwill and these sorts of places. And then Artemis was another one that they brought up, and you think of Artemis, you think of the hunt in the forest, but it could also be related to women's shelters, women's clinics, that sort of thing. It related Odin to places of political power, sort of town hall places like that. And it just was really interesting to kind of get those wheels turning as to what sorts of causes and what sorts of places would really be sort of the modern day temple to the concepts that those deities stand for. So really liked that section. It's not exhaustive, obviously. It's a pretty short section. And, obviously they can't include like every god and goddess that ever was, but it's a pretty overall, it kind of covers it almost by like types of gods and goddesses. So like hearth goddesses and, sun gods and, that kind of thing, warrior gods and love goddesses and that sort of thing. So it kind of goes over through them by sort of overall concepts instead of specific deities, if that makes sense. So that section I really liked. But the very next section is called Modernism, the Urban Triple Deities, and I think the overall concept of what they were trying to accomplish is really cool, but I think the actual execution of it is really cheesy. The triple goddess the names of the urban triple goddess is Squat, Score, and Scram. And, the art is just a little bit like, it's trying very hard to be very urban, and like here's another one, and it's just very, I don't know, I didn't like it, and it just seemed very corny to me, and some people might find it really whimsical and fun and like it. I'm not one of those people, so I'm just gonna leave it at that. And then excuse me. So the next section that I really enjoyed was, there were actually two more that I want to address specifically. One was all about, it's all about tattooing and piercing, basically. And yes, tribal markings, clothing, and body decoration. So it also talks about clothing and that sort of thing. And with clothing, it more talks about like your relationship to clothes overall, and like how you have like that one like dress that you put on and you feel like you can take over the world, and you have that one hoodie that you put on that makes you feel safe and that kind of thing. There's also and then they also get into tattoos and piercings, and sort of making it more ritualistic. And also there's some interesting discussion about the relation of the different like piercings and stuff to concepts, which is something new for me. Like here, what I lost it now. Like I used to have my nose pierced, so here's one. There are two kinds of nose piercings: the side nose, which is what I had, and the septum, which I did not have. Side nose piercings are considered more feminine, and septum piercings are considered more masculine. The side nose piercing is associated with goddesses of love and fertility, beauty, attraction, and creating relationships. So that's, and that it connects it also to sort of the Indian practice of getting your nose pierced. And then, so that's just an example of kind of what she gets in, what they get into when they're talking about this. And then they also get into like the jewelry that you would wear in your different piercings, and moonstones, and all the correspondences for the different crystals and gemstones that you might wear in your jewelry and your body piercings. So yeah, did they get into tattoos, or was it just... No, they did, I thought. Well, anyway, so yeah, so that was interesting as well to read about. But yeah, they do talk about tattoos. I thought so. But it's a pretty short section. And they just talk about sort of the experience of it and spiritual tattoos. And sort of the magic of the symbolism that you might tattoo on yourself, which was also cool to read about. So I really liked that section. Then there was another section where he talked about cars. And when I first saw it, I was like, okay, whatever, because the title of the section is a little bit misleading. It's called Travois and Vehicle Charms is the subtitle. So Travois, Vehicle Charms. And so I'm thinking, okay, is this just going to be like how to, put a protection spell on your car, or like how to make a little, talisman to hang on your rearview mirror or something, like, okay, whatever. But then I read it, and they actually get into sort of the personality of your car, and I loved this because my car, I have a relationship with my car, and that sounds really weird, but I do. I've had my car now for almost 10 years. It's a big old Buick. It's like, it's really interesting because I think a lot of people have a relationship with their cars, and they don't necessarily think about it as being like an entity that you can interact with spiritually in the same way you might interact with the Fae or whatever. But my car has a name. She has a name and a nickname, believe it or not. I'm going to tell you her name. She was named in high school by my best friend, and it just stuck, and I think it's hilarious. Her name is Shasty McNasty, and her nickname is the Ghetto Mobile because my car is ridiculous. It's beat up. She runs really well, but she's just a hot mess, and I love my car. Like, I have a relationship with my car that I'm sure, like, have you ever had that? Like, I can't be the only person who's, like, feels, like, that kind of a connection with their car. I don't know, maybe I'm nuts, but, so that was really cool to read about, and there were some other really neat concepts when it came to sort of your relationship with your car. The other section that I did not particularly care for is... and it's very different. It's, where is it? It's a chapter on junkyard magic, and it's basically magic instead of using like herbs and crystals and stuff, it's using basically garbage. And that just didn't really ring my bells. You know what I mean? Like, it was just like, I don't know. Like, I mean, I guess it gets you thinking, and that's cool, but I don't think so. That's not my bag. But anyway, I don't want to go through like every single chapter and like talk about it, but I will show you some of the art, because they go through the urban totems, which is like animals that you actually would encounter in an more urban setting, and it's things like mice, and there's the art for the mice. It's very sort of Asian inspired. And there's a raccoon, which we get big old raccoons around here. Robins, which is one of my totem animals, and I love this. So that was cool. I won't show you all. There's a bunch more, but that just gives you an idea. Oh, this one's funny. It's a cat asleep on top of a television. Typical. But pigeons, which is like a convenience store worker. It looks like, I don't know. That's weird. But anyway, it was just it's kind of fun and not super intellectual, but very creative and gets you thinking. And I think what I love about it is that it gets you engaged with the things that you have to engage on an everyday basis. It talks about computers, it talks about, like I said, your car, and that kind of engaged living, I think, is so important. Even if, okay, yeah, computers can be really sucky, because they take up too much time. You get obsessed with, time-wasting activities, stupid Candy Crush or whatever. But also, it's your window to the world. You can learn so many things that weren't readily available to people, before the internet existed. You can connect with people like we are, and just kind of really tapping into the spiritual aspects of modern life. Like, you don't need to distance yourself from modern life to find your spirituality. So I really dug this book in a lot of ways. Like I said, even the parts that I didn't like, I appreciated because they were inventive and they made me think. So I think y'all should maybe give it a read if you're interested in this sort of thing. Because like I said, I just think it encourages... Ooh, what? All of a sudden there's this glare. Where did that come from? Sorry about that. I hope I didn't blind anybody. Yeah, so it's just one of those things where it just encourages this engagement and this appreciation and sort of connection with the things that are around you and the realities of everyday modern life. So, anyway, Urban Primitive, Paganism in the Concrete Jungle. I do recommend it, but again, there are things I liked, things I didn't like. But things I liked, things I didn't liked. Things I liked and things I didn't, and but I appreciated all of it. So that's all I've got for you today. I hope you all are doing well, and I will be talking to you again soon. Take care.